Alright guys, in today's video I've got Blair, and he has an extremely interesting story that when he first contacted me, I was really amazed at it, so you're going to want to hear this. Stick around. Alright, thanks for coming on my channel. I appreciate it. And this, when you messaged me and I took a look at your channel, I was like, wow, this is unique. This is not just another vlogger talking about the Philippines and dating and all those type of a lot of normal topics. But you actually help children who were fathered by mainly American servicemen. That you help them get back in touch and contact with their fathers.
Yes.
And most of these happened around the 70s because mainly because that was the Vietnam War going on, and they were coming here for their R&R.
Yep.
And have you had success in this already?
Yeah. So Gio, thank you so much for having me on your channel.
Sure.
I truly appreciate it. I've followed you for a number of years now.
Appreciate it.
And I like watching what you're doing here in Dumaguete and when you travel overseas as well.
Thank you.
It's very entertaining.
Thank you.
So guys, welcome. My name's Blair. I'll just give you a bit of background. I'm from Australia. I do have an English accent because I grew up in England, but I was born in Australia. After 3 years, I went back to Great Britain, served in the British Army for 6 years, went to the first Gulf War when I was 19. And after I came out of the army after 6 years, I decided to go backpacking to Australia and looked into getting my passport because I was born in Australia. So from the age of 27, I was living permanently back in Australia. So I've kind of got a mixed accent. So Australian, British, British, Australian. I came to the Philippines in 2007 just for a holiday.
Yep.
Loved what I saw. Was just going through a divorce at the time. Decided that I was going to one day become permanent in the Philippines.
Right.
Moved to the Philippines in 2014. Like Gio, I got a job in a call center, and a couple of months after landing in Cebu, I met my now wife Leah May, one part of the Leah and Blair slog,
which you'll be able to check out her interview on Maya's channel.
So I met Leah May in Cebu in 2014, and we've been together ever since. We clicked straight away, great friends. An age gap relationship, so I'm 52 and Leah May is 33, so 19 years between us. Never bothered us, and I don't care if it bothers anyone else.
Very similar.
I'm very happy.
I'm 52 and Maya's 30, so we're very similar in that way. Yeah.
And for the next 9 years living in South Cebu, I'm not retired. I left my job in the call center, and we started selling lucky bamboo plants, which is the Chinese feng shui fortune plant, and we grow them where we live on Leah May's parents' land. They've got a slice of land, and they allowed us to build a house there, so we built a house, and we gradually built up our business, supplying people in Cebu City with the plants, and it just gave us enough money to be comfortable. Nothing great. I decided to start vlogging about a year ago. Went with my GoPro camera, bought a GoPro for 20,000, started going through the markets in Cebu. You know, this is what you can see, mainly aimed at people from overseas, foreigners that hadn't been to the Philippines but wanted to see the inside of a market or different towns. And it was going okay. I'd get a few thousand views. And then one day I was recording myself, and a lady tapped me on the shoulder. Her name's Mary Ann, so maybe you've seen her video, guys, but if you haven't, I highly recommend that you go to my channel and watch her video.
So this young lady, Mary Ann, she tapped you on the shoulder?
She tapped me on the shoulder and said, oh, are you an international vlogger? And I said, well, I'm a vlogger, maybe not an international vlogger. She said, I'm looking for my father. I think he's an American, and he served in the Navy at Subic Bay, or maybe he served in the Air Force at Clark Air Base, up at Angeles City in Pampanga.
How old was Mary Ann?
Mary Ann, 49, 50. So 50 years old.
Okay.
She didn't know who her father was. Her mother had given her a name, and she hadn't been able to find him. So she was saying to me, maybe somebody watching your vlog might know who my father is, and she gave his name. So I ran with it. I did her story, and it later turned out that the name given to Marianne was not her biological father. It was somebody else. We did a DNA test.
Okay.
And
you do that through Ancestry?
Ancestry.com.
Oh, okay.
That's the main one. That's the most popular, Ancestry.com.
Right.
So we did it in a DNA test, and the results came back, and we didn't find a father, but we had a cousin match, and that cousin was a 3% match. And back in last year, I had no idea about DNA or what 3% meant, but now I understand that 3% is a real long shot. It's not how you can really connect people. But at the time, I just wrote to the cousin and I said, look, I'm trying to find this man. He served in the Philippines in the early 70s. Perhaps somebody in your family might know him.
Okay.
2 months passed, no reply. And then one day I got a reply saying, I don't really know, sorry, see you later. And I'm like, to myself, I'm like, it's not good enough. This is the only thing that I've got to go on. I need to write back to them and kind of prod them a little bit. So I kept prodding, and they said, okay, I'll ask my mum. Maybe my mum knows something because she's around that kind of time, that age. And she wrote back to me saying, I've spoken to my mum, and she has a cousin who did serve in the Philippines at that time at Clark Air Base in Pampanga. And I'm like, Liam, we found the person. And that day he emailed us saying, I've watched your YouTube video. I believe I'm Marianne's father. I was there at the right time, at the right place. I do remember her mother. And this could possibly be my daughter that I had no idea existed.
Wow. So you think most of the guys probably just have no idea?
I would say about half of our cases, the guys were on R&R. The Vietnam War's going on. They're 19, 20, 21. They've got money to burn. They've seen some horrific things in Vietnam, and they're here to party for a couple of weeks. And it was all happening in the 70s in Olongapo, which is the town beside Subic Bay Naval Base, the US Naval Base. And they went into town, and there was many bars and clubs, and they just had a great time and went and left. And they didn't know then that the lady that they had slept with was pregnant. The lady had no way of contacting the person. The man might have just given his first name, might have not have even given him the correct name. And other ones were in an actual relationship. Some of them actually got married. They were in a genuine relationship. They found somebody that they loved, but maybe there was no internet back then. There was no cell phone. There was always typhoons coming in. And when they went back on the ship back to America, they lost contact. Maybe they were conversing via snail mail. The mail they moved back to the province from where they're originally from. When the US base closed down in 92, there was nothing for these people to make any money from. The restaurants and the bars and the discos closed down pretty quickly, and these people went back to the province.
Couple of follow-up questions around this. Now, what is the reaction usually when you reach out to somebody? Hey, are you related, or do you know somebody? If you message them on the internet, what's the reaction usually? Because I know personally, if somebody messaged me, I'd be like, is this some kind of
a lot of people
scam,
straight away people are going to say this is a scam, straight away, without even listening to the facts. And it's quite annoying, really, because you spend days and weeks and months putting effort to try and track these people down. And the usual way of communication is via Facebook Messenger. And as soon as you message them, you're starting a conversation, and when you start getting to the nitty-gritty, you're blocked. And sometimes that's because they think it's a scam. Sometimes they know what it's about, but they don't want the responsibility. But that's not very common. And usually, sometimes a wife or another daughter or son from another marriage might be there with them. And from what I've learned is if there's another second party involved, they're not too happy about
I would imagine not.
A son or a daughter coming in who's usually older than the children that they have now.
Right.
And they think the will is going to go to this person. They start thinking
Sure.
about money. And the people that contact me, I want to put it on record, the people who contact me, they just want to find out who they are,
Right.
where they came from, and to have a father relationship, father-daughter, father-son relationship.
Yes.
They don't, for 50 odd years, they've got a hole in their heart. They don't know where they belong.
Right.
You know, they grew up without a father. And not once have I ever seen that they're doing this just to try and get money. Not once. Not once.
How many Amerasians are there, do you think?
A recent study believes that through all of the US soldiers going through the bases in the 60s, 70s and 80s and early 90s, there's an estimate of between a minimum of 50,000
Wow.
up to 250,000
Wow.
second generation Amerasians here in the Philippines. And they suffered a lot growing up.
Sure.
They really suffered discrimination because the color
Yes.
of their skin. Some of them were born to African American fathers.
Right.
And in some places in the Philippines, the darker your skin,
Sure. Yeah, it still
you're not.
happens.
Yeah, you're treated differently, especially
Yeah.
through your teenage years in school. They can be quite nasty, taunting them,
Right.
calling them names. So these people coming to me, they've had a lot of trauma in their lives. So I have to tread carefully with them. I can't promise that
Sure.
we're going to find their father, but I always say, look, we're going to do our best. We'll try and take on your case. And right as of now, every day I get about 20 messages or through Messenger saying, "Sir, I watched your YouTube channel. Can you help me find my father?" And it's just myself and Leah May, and we're just a family. We're just an average family, average income, living in the province with 3 children, 8, 5 and 3, and we're taking this on as well. I love it, Leah May loves it, but it eats into our own personal time as well. We have to travel up to Olongapo or Clark Air Base. So I enjoy it, Leah May enjoys it, and we're doing
amazing.
a nice service, I think, for people who otherwise would just be left alone. The government don't help them, they don't get involved.
Sure.
And really the only way to find their fathers, the quickest way to find their fathers would be through a DNA test.
Sure.
We can do the detective work and maybe find that person, but even when we find them, we still need to do that test to make sure he is indeed the father.
Right.
So we don't have enough money. Myself and Leah May, we've bought tests from our own pockets. When they're on sale with Ancestry, they're $59 on sale. You can just go online to ancestry.com and order, and you can get it sent direct to us in the Philippines. You can just, the viewers, if you want to donate a DNA test, you're changing somebody's lives with this. You can send it direct to us. You can just send us a message to our Facebook page, the Leah and Blair Slog.
There'll be a link down in the description for their Facebook page and also their YouTube channel.
Or you can get it sent to your address in the States and then send it from the States, forward it to us through DHL. All up, it would probably cost around $100 with including the shipping. We pay for the shipping going back to ancestry.com. They're in Utah, so it usually takes, with express shipping, it will take up to 10 days. And once they receive the kit, it usually takes around 6 weeks to get an answer. And they'll send you an email with the results. If there's a father match, it will just say like father, daughter, father, son match. And it's like bingo, jackpot. We found the person, and then we need to then look at the name of that person and try and find them on People Finder or Facebook.
So you're spending money out of your own money to send the kits back, and you're also spending money to fly to different locations sometimes and meet the kids.
Yeah, because we're in Cebu, and 99% of these cases come from Clark or Olongapo.
Okay.
So it involves a flight, return flights, a week there, hotels. On average, we're spending probably minimum of 20,000 pesos a video.
Tell me about Olongapo. You were telling me that when you go there, it's just like half of them are all mixed.
Yeah,
right?
When you go to Olongapo, you certainly see the faces are faces half foreigner faces. There's many mixed, whether it's white foreigners or African American, but it certainly stands out there than any other city, town I've ever been in the Philippines.
And some of the things also, besides them, they didn't have fathers. Maybe they were made fun of because they were darker, or maybe just being kids without fathers, or a lot of times their mothers were prostitutes.
In some
cases,
I would say roughly, there's a lot of cases, but it's not all cases. Certainly not all cases. It was maybe half. It was like the sailors were on R&R. The town was known as a rest and recuperation area where they're going to party. There's discos, there's bars, but not everyone worked in a disco and bar. You might have gone to a coffee shop or the laundrette, and there might have been a lady working in the laundrette, 20 years old, folding clothes, and the person might have struck up a conversation and had a relationship. And certainly some of our cases, the fathers got married, they signed the birth certificate, but through having to be sent with the military to different countries and no internet back then and cell phone service, they lost contact. Or the mothers moved back to the province whilst her partner was overseas on duty, and he's writing letters, and the letters are not getting through because they've moved to the province. They might have told a neighbour, if Tom comes back next week, say that here's my new address. But Tom maybe didn't come back next week because there was maybe the ship had to go somewhere else at the last minute.
Because you can imagine, you take 2023 and it's hard to get mail here. You imagine what it was like in the 70s. So another thing that I found interesting is that, so currently, if you are under 18 and you have a child with a Filipina, then you can get them citizenship.
That's right.
If they are over 18, they have lost that ability.
There's problems, I'll just read what I've got on my phone. Somebody sent me somebody watched my YouTube channel and said they're having the same sort of problem. His name's John Haynes, and he said the law says for children born out of wedlock, if the mother is the US citizen, the child is automatically a US citizen. But if the father is the US citizen, then he must take certain steps based on the laws of the country of birth plus the father's home state. So also includes where your state, because different states in America have different laws.
That's right.
Okay. Furthermore, the child must claim their US citizenship before their 18th birthday. So this is where the problem starts. We're finding fathers way long after the child's 18th birthday. They're usually over 30, between over 30 and under 60. That's that gap back in the day, 60s, 70s, 80s. So there's no way for them to be able to claim their child and bring them to the States under current immigration law, from my understanding. If anyone's watching this and you're an immigration lawyer or an attorney and you know something different, please leave a comment on Gio's video and we'll find out maybe some new information. But as it stands right now, if they're not claimed before their 18th birthday, there's no possible route for them to be able to claim US citizenship.
And here's the crazy thing. We also we have a lot of mixed kids that were coming out of Thailand, Cambodia, in Vietnam. But what's the difference with those countries and the Philippines?
Well, there was an act that US Congress passed in 1982, and I'll just read it to you guys. In 1982, the United States Congress passed the Amerasian Immigration Act. This act provides preferential immigration status to children in Asia fathered by US service personnel in Korea, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand. This was passed in 82 because of the poor economic and social conditions experienced by Amerasians in their homelands. The act, however, excludes Amerasian children from the Philippines.
Which is insane to me, because this is our closest ally and where we have bases at.
It's insane.
Except for Korea, but...
Correct. But this is mainly where the US bases are.
Right.
The US has come back now since '92 because they want to build more and more bases to combat the threat from China and, you know, in covering Taiwan. So I'll go on. Equity dictates that if Congress provides preferential immigration status to one group, it should grant the same rights to groups who are similarly situated. And as we were saying, they were victimized when they were growing up. They were racially abused. Amerasians in the Philippines experienced similar economic deprivation and social discrimination as those Amerasians provided under the Act states in 1982.
Definitely something that needs to be changed because it just doesn't even make sense, to be honest.
There's no pathway
No.
for fathers finding out that they have fathered a child in the Philippines, I believe, once they passed 18.
Right. And if it was vice versa, if it was the woman, even though they were over 18, then they would.
The birth mother.
The birth mother, yes.
So the states, you guys have got some funny rules.
Yes.
Maybe
yes,
Australia has as well, I'm not too sure. But the states, obviously, you know, the mother is given preferential treatment rather than the father.
Right.
But you have arguments in regards to equal pay and those sort of things in America.
Right, right. How many cases so far have you had success in, do you think?
Yeah, we started in January.
Okay.
I would say, off the top of my head, 4 or 5 cases where we've literally found the father and we have reunited them via a video call or messenger. And in fact, we've actually got someone here now, Mike Robinson. I've just released a video on my channel. He just arrived a couple of days ago.
And he's going to be on Old Dog's channel.
Yes.
So you'll be able to see that.
Mike Robinson, a airman in the US Navy.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know this, that if you're in the US Navy, you also have airmen, you also have like the air crew, not just a sailor. Right,
Marines and...
Correct.
Yeah.
And I found him going through Facebook pictures, and luckily he was wearing the Vietnam hat, Vietnam veteran hat.
Takes a lot of work on your behalf to reach out.
It took weeks of searching through.
There's a lot of Mike Robinsons, I would imagine.
Michael Robinson. Do me a favor, guys. Look up Michael Robinson on Facebook. African American, thousands. Yeah. Luckily, he was in the right age group, and he was wearing that hat, and that's what got my attention. Unfortunately, there was nothing. His last post was 2016. My heart sank. I'm thinking he's passed on already.
Sure.
Luckily, his friends list was public, so I messaged a couple of his relatives, and after a couple of weeks, they tracked him down because he was kind of moving around a lot in the States, and they found him. Watched my video. Contact me, was in a state of shock that I'd found him. He was told by the International Red Cross that they had perished in a typhoon that year.
Wow.
He was married to
a Filipina.
He was married, and the child, so he was married to Michelle's mother, so they were in a genuine relationship. He had signed the birth certificate. He had done an affidavit of support that when he's on duty he will support the mother, and he was getting ready for them to come to America. He was about to get passports.
Wow.
He went to Vietnam, he was injured, and he went back to the States. He was in hospital back in the States for many months. I don't know what happened from there. I didn't touch upon it too closely with him, but he lost contact, and he presumed that they had passed on. And then I come out the blue and say to him, your daughter's alive. Your wife has passed, unfortunately, but your daughter's alive, and she's been looking for you. Wow. She's 55 years old. And
so this whole time he had his wife and daughter that he had thought perished.
Yeah, they had moved back. She had, and this is the case, she had moved away from Olongapo back to the province with her daughter Michelle when she was young, and his letters weren't getting through to them. He was sending them to Olongapo. You know, it was snail mail times, no internet. I don't know how they managed to survive back then.
I don't know.
We have trouble now just keeping in contact through electronic means.
Yes.
He was shocked. He's here now, guys. You'll see him on Old Dog New Tricks video later on, and it's a success story. It's a beautiful success story, and now he's catching up in lost time with his daughter.
That's amazing. And I suppose there's also, maybe they can't find their father. Maybe their father passed away, but maybe they find a half sibling out of it.
That gives them some form of closure.
Right.
Yeah, there's a family member there that they can talk to, that can tell them about their father, that can give them photographs, can let them know what he was like when he was alive, and that gives that person some form of closure. Imagine not knowing who you are, where you came from, what does your father look like. There's a big hole in your heart. Luckily I grew up with my parents, so I haven't experienced that, but when I talk to these people and they tell me their story, I'm a grown man, it makes me cry. It's really tough on your heart to hear their story, especially in the Philippines, where it's tough growing up here looking like a foreigner as a child. No matter what anyone says, there is a lot of discrimination with teenagers. Maybe not with the adults, but you know, at school the teenagers can be quite nasty.
They can.
Yeah,
they can. So that's amazing. So I mean, just even finding a half sibling would probably be, and finding out what happened to their father would be amazing too. So thank you, Blair, for coming on. And again, if somebody wants to donate, they can purchase an Ancestry.com DNA kit. They can send it to you.
Yes.
Please do not send me any money. Go to Blair's Facebook or his YouTube channel and get in contact with him. The links will be in the description. And check out his channel for some amazing, touching stories. Gio,
if I could just say as well, please don't send me any money either.
Okay.
We have, as you know, there's laws here in the Philippines in regards to asking for donations on camera, even if it's for a great cause.
Exactly.
But please, guys, you are allowed to send me a DNA kit. So don't send the money.
Yeah.
Send me the DNA kit, and I will make sure that story will get followed. I can either mention your name in the video, some people want to remain anonymous, or some people are happy just to have their first name mentioned, like this is from John. When I'm talking to the Amerasian, I will say this kit was donated from John from Ohio, and that will give that person a sense of pride that they've helped somebody halfway around the world get closure in their life. So thank you.
Or if you fathered a kid, or you think you could have,
exactly. You can send me an email as well.
Sure.
All the details are on our YouTube page in the About Us section, and we've had many emails from fathers saying, I think I may have fathered a child, and we're following up one now where we believe we actually have found the child.
That's fantastic.
And we're just trying to confirm that, but I'm 99% sure we've got the right person.
Wow.
So
amazing. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you guys.